Black Earth offers a full suite of humic solutions, from high-purity granules to powder, liquid, and soluble formulations, all powered by pure humulite. Trusted by growers worldwide from one of the world's rarest humulite reserves. Grow stronger with the power of Black Earth Humulite. Learn more from mine to market by visiting blackearth.com.
This morning on RFD TV, we were chatting about the Bunge Viterra acquisition where we started the show, and I'm curious, do we see a real flurry here of new M&A activity? Right, it's been kind of a little bit of a downside in the cropping sector. You'd have to think ag tech. There's an opportunity there for consolidation, natural consolidation. The biological space, an opportunity for M&A activity, or this is a time where you see good balance sheets taking over bad balance sheets. The biological sector is quite noisy. I don't know where we would go for crop protection mergers going forward. Like, we can only consolidate so much.
That'll be more on the biological side.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
Machinery, short lines, there always is that opportunity. I don't know. What do you guys think? Lyndsey, what do you think?
Yeah, so it's an interesting thing. These things they do sort of come in waves, right? And likely somebody much smarter than me could point out all the reasons of which cycles sort of end up exactly that, Shaun, sort of the stronger company eating up the weaker, not always, huge eating small. Like, sometimes these are very, similar sized businesses. Maybe it's just a portion of a business, as you said, like with the biologicals, et cetera. Like, it might just be an acquisition of a specific product or line from somewhere. But it does sort of feel like it has maybe been a little while, right? And so is this, just an indication that we're going to see more of some of these and where they come from? I will say, you mentioned ag tech, so I will use this opportunity to put in a plug for Monday's episode of The Agronomist, where Peter Repeat Johnson is going to be guest host Monday night. We're going to talk about sort of all the spot spraying, the see and spray, the selective spraying technology that's out there, and uses for it, limits of it, etc. But that's a space that we've seen, individual sort of up and comers come up with one component or one part, and that, do we see those sorts of these tech pieces get picked up by different companies, etc. So on the crop protection side, how much more consolidation can we have? And she says that, and then look out, something's going to happen. So
here's the other piece to that, though, Linz, is I think you look at the last round that we had, right? We had ChemChina buying Syngenta. We had Dow, DuPont, and Pioneer coming together, and then we had Bayer Monsanto. Well, Bayer Monsanto looked upon as, it really has not been the outcome that I think Bayer was striving for when they went to their shareholders to make this play, for a number of different reasons. I was thinking last week, I was having a conversation with a seed industry person. We were talking about how you think about the Bayer Monsanto merger from a Canadian context, and BASF's ability to get that spun off asset of the canola business, the Invigor business. There's the real winner out of that Bayer Monsanto merger, if you look at it from that aspect, especially with the opportunity that is for canola in the plains, as whether it's winters or springs or Napises or Gencia, the canola acre with the biofuel push is going to increase in the U.S. And BASF is right there with Invigor. It's just interesting, like the winners and losers years later. And sometimes who you think was going to be the winner, not it, and who are some of the quiet winners. And I just use that example. Very fascinating. I do wonder if on the mega merger side, if Bayer Monsanto doesn't create a little bit of like caution in the market in terms of what's a good deal and what's not. I don't know. Just a thought.
To me, the consolidation where we could potentially see, or another aspect of our industry that we haven't touched on here, is at the farm level, and consolidation there we've seen. If you look at corn prices right now relative to fertilizer prices, urea, nitrogen, it's as almost as you need as many bushels of corn to pay for 1 ton of fertilizer as ever in history. Phosphate, it's by far a record time right now in terms of the number of bushels you need to pay for a ton of fertilizer, and so input prices relative to crop prices are certainly putting a squeeze. That's where I think some of this U.S. biofuel policy is determining direction here of overall industry and maybe some of the trends as well. But it's certainly tough times lead to people are forced into making these kinds of decisions to sell and that type of thing, and opportunities come around for companies that don't happen when everybody sees lots of potential in the market.
Yeah, it's kind of the time where you hear cash is king. Those with the best balance sheet win. Like it's all of those kind of old financial sort of sayings, right? Is times like this, and of course the beef.
In the moment, it's too late, though. In the moment, yeah,
well, yeah, exactly. And unless you can make decisions that improve the balance sheet, there, and that could, that may be selling some assets to readjust yourself is always an option, but not necessarily the first option that people are looking for. Nobody wants to sell land worse than or less than farmers. It's never the right go-to or right away, but yeah, it's going to be fascinating. And in the age factor, right? Like it's not just the financial health, it's the age factor where you look at the aging farm population. It's like, yeah, you know what? I've been kind of eroding the last 2-3 years in terms of my financial position. I may not have somebody coming back. You know what? Exit sounds pretty good. And that's a reality too. That's hard to change that.
And
there's also the political angle to mergers and acquisitions. Shaun, do you think Trump administration would be friendly or unfriendly towards a mega merger in an era of populist politics being popular?
It's a very good point.
Which side do they choose? That seems like that could be a potential point of division.
A great variable. I think honestly you're probably underselling that. I think that should be. I think you've hit on something entirely correct. There would be some pushback on some sort of a mega merger, and I've talked to a few people about this before too. Is like sometimes you get like weird pushes, like we're thinking like mergers and acquisitions where there's like a natural flow. What if you had a large ag equipment dealer company, ag equipment dealership that says, you know what, hey, we want to be in the crop input business. Like there can be weird combinations there. Like, there was you look at what kind of the Netflix business was 8 years ago versus what the Netflix business is today and how they have like morphed cross lines into live events, sporting. They're talking about, getting into basically like TV, almost becoming almost like a cable network at this point. It can really, this time period can really foster some like when Amazon bought Whole Foods, really, what's that all about? Like, things can come out of nowhere as well.